Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This one's gonna be more up to date. My other video, last one, took a little while to get out because I was more focusing on the truck. I was having so many problems, so many small kinks to work out. I was so overwhelmed with just figuring out a solution and fabbing that up. I guess I'll lead off the last video, and just continue from there. Updating you guys. I know on the end of the last video I put RIP motor on the tailgate because we did go through a motor, and when I was editing the previous video the motor was blown and everything, and so I didn't film it really. So here's what I'm catching you guys up on, and this will be more current as of I guess the beginning of August. Yeah. All right, so what I mean about going through a whole nother motor was the feeling problem. So when I adjusted the field pressure, originally, like in the very beginning, I set it too low accidentally with the motor off when I should have set it with the motor on. So I ended up adjusting it correctly, but then I ran the truck on the current tune, which was adding a bunch of feel. And so when everything was dialed in mechanically, the tune was still so rich that it was reading like 9-to-1. I mean, it was so rich. It was pumping so much fuel, and that fuel ended up getting past the cylinders and into the motor oil, so it thinned it out. And when I was going to a car meet, blew the oil pump, and then from there on I put a new pump on it. Oil pressure did not come back up, so I just, instead of chasing a low oil pressure bug, I just decided to start fresh with a whole another low mileage JDM motor. And this is the very first motor. So took this whole thing apart. Actually, when I took it out of the truck, I took my studs out, my head studs, and the brand new K20 pump that I installed in here, but it did not bring up oil pressure. So I took that pump, the head studs out of this, and then a couple other timing chain goodies, and I put it into this other good motor. And I spent a weekend swapping everything over to this motor. So this motor in here is totally different. Well, it's the same, you know, make and model, but we got a different motor in here. Everything's back to square one, and I'll explain more about this and what we have going on down here. But in resolution, this is another good motor. I pulled everything. I mean, head off, front cover, oil pan, crank out, rods. Well, actually I didn't pull the rods, I just pulled the crank out. And the bearings are good in this, the crank's good. I honestly couldn't find a real culprit other than the oil squirters. So on the bottom here, underneath the piston in each cylinder, there's 4 oil squirters, and they sit underneath and they squirt oil up against the bottom side of the piston to cool it down. And I found those to be pretty loose. There's a little spring and ball inside of them, and when the motor turns over fast enough, builds enough oil pressure, they're supposed to spray at 25 psi. But I think mine were just open all the time, so it was relieving oil pressure down in the lower end, and I use a mechanical gauge for all my testing, so I can't figure out exactly the culprit, but I think that was what went wrong. Coincidentally, I don't think the gasoline did that. I think the gas would have more an effect on the bearings and stuff, but who knows. I wasn't going to chase that oil bug, you know, low oil pressure. It's kind of a pain in the truck to do that kind of stuff. So starting fresh, we got a whole new block, and we'll just go from there. All right, so where we left off with the truck, as of right now, the beginning of August, the new motor is doing great, same compression as the other one, so I'm pretty much starting off on square one, but you know, great compression and everything. So it only has maybe 5 or 6 holes on this motor. Most of the kinks are worked out, like the serpentine belt, miscellaneous oil leaks that I had. Those are plugged up, so it stays pretty dry now, and the cooling is much better after doing the head gasket from the previous video. So I did the head gasket, and I also did the head gasket on this one when I properly installed the head studs. So I took the head off, cleaned the combustion chamber and everything, and did the head studs. And now the cooling system is staying around 150 on the freeway. Stop and go traffic, you know, it comes up to 185. But I did put the electric fans to kick on at 180, so right before the thermostat, so it gets that water cooling in the radiator. And then by the time that cooler water hits the thermostat, which opens at supposedly 180, the truck kind of has a little camel hump. The temp rises and then it comes back down, so it rises up to maybe 185, 187, and it drops to 177, and the fans turn off, and it just does that in traffic, on and on. But other than that, the cooling system is finally addressed. No leaks. It's solid. Don't have to worry about it. And go through your drive-through with this thing and sit there at a red light for however long you want to sit there. The fans come on. It's like 90 degrees out this week, so it was a good test run when I drove it to work, because I work 70 miles away from home, so it was a great traffic run for this thing. So it is pretty good in the street now. So I'll show you what we're the last kink, I think, or last problem that I'm trying to resolve with it. So on the exhaust manifold, I had some issues where after that I did the head gasket, so I do, you know, a pull or something and hit rev limiter. I had the wastegate weld broke off, so on the tubular manifold the wastegate comes out and to a flange, and then it broke at that flange. So I thought I'd just you know, one-time thing, just stuff happens. So I welded that on myself, welded the inside. It's pretty tricky inside, so I only got like halfway welded inside, but it's welded inside, and it's staying on there pretty good. But then I think I have a vibration issue because the next weld after that ended up cracking. So I'll show you guys here what we got going on, if I can get the light right. Well, you can probably see it right there, the crack. Not looking too hot. Didn't break fully off, so I'm just gonna grind out the weld and get a good V in there, bevel it and everything, clean it the best I can, and I'm just gonna re-weld this, and then I'm gonna install some more gussets on this. So I got some more stainless stock, and I might just gusset on here. I'll try to figure out, play with the room I have. I was thinking about using this bolt over here just to the side of the wastegate, just to hold off just from here over to this corner of the wastegate, and that will kind of hold maybe the weight, and it'll maybe hold the vibrations on the very far end of this manifold, so kind of eliminates the vibration or makes it more solid. So yeah, that's my plan for now, or today. I'll pull this manifold off, weld up what I got, and then add some more stainless to it. So this is the stainless I have. I have this is 3/8 rod, stainless rod, and then I have 1/8 inch, 1.5 inches by just 2 4-foot sections just for material. But it's pretty thick stuff. I think it'll definitely do something. If I have some problems in there, I can just kind of cut this down or something. But that's my solution for that. Might look kind of utilitarian or kind of industrial, kind of rough. Not really something that I'm proficient at, is designing exhaust manifolds or that area. So I'll do the best I can, gusset it up, and we'll go from there. And I guess on another recap, I keep recapping or just going back, but the tune is mint now. We did get it up to around 15-16 pounds, tuning on pump gas, just 92. And Sheldon, the tuner for the Haltech, he lives in actually another state, and he has a cool Instagram, 14.7 Solutions. You can go look him up. But he has got the tune within 1 or 2%, so the truck's actually turned down to maybe 14 pounds right now. At least that's what I'm seeing on the gauge. until I get more stuff figured out, and we'll soon switch to flex fuel. So that's the plan for the truck. And I do have also rear end gears for this thing coming. So the rear end has, according to the VIN, the dealership, it has 342s in it, which is really bad. It's pretty bad. This thing bogs down the freeway. Try to hit 5th, and it's going like 1800 RPM down the freeway in 5th, which is really shitty. So most of the freeway driving I do is actually in 4th gear, which it's still a dog though when you go from you know, 2nd, 3rd to 4th, ripping it through the gears when you shift and then try to get back in the boost. It's a real dog. It's real lazy getting back in the boost. So we're doing a re-gear for 411s in the rear, and there is no lockers that I can find, so I'm just gonna have to weld that myself. I'm not really too invested in the rear differential of this truck. Now I got the truck up. Some residual oils under here still from a couple random stuff, oil changes and stuff. I try to keep the excuse me, I try to keep the truck oil changes pretty consistent. Anytime there's a weird symptom or something's changed, anyways, I try to keep it changed like every 500 miles. Just me. Anyways, it's nice to have a lift, makes things a lot easier. So you can kind of see, I never showed my exhaust system really, but it's nothing fancy, just 3-inch stainless, like the cheapest stuff on eBay you could possibly find. Everything has V-bands on it, nice little stainless isolator. Welds are okay. I mean, I'm not like the craziest welder or anything, but I think I hold my own as far as this kind of build goes. There's a lot of oil kind of residual on this thing I need to clean up, but that's kind of that. I've never showed this whole system before. Yeah, just poke soaring out there. Larger driveline too. This thing has nice Spicer E-joints on it, sealed, non-greasable, so that was what the Driveline Northwest recommended. This driveline is a lot thicker wall. It's much heavier than even the factory driveline, and it is a larger diameter too, so it can handle some more power. The only thing original is my yoke. Everything else they had to redo because they couldn't use any of the factory stuff. And that's that. Kind of see from below how simple this thing is. It's like a tractor. I mean, compared to most front-wheel drive stuff, I wouldn't really want to touch front-wheel drive stuff, or I don't know, I'm kind of just a rear-wheel drive kind of guy, but I guess I like simple, easy to work on. And this thing's simple and it's easy to do. So here's the rear axle. This is a GM 8-inch ring gear, 10 bolt. I guess that's what the classification is. These are axles mostly found under like Hummers, a smaller Hummer like H2, I think. Or the H3, whatever the small Hummer is, GM or Chevy Envoys, and then Colorados. This is like the first year for this diff, from 04 to 012, and again, very limited as far as lockers go, gearing wise, parts availability, and just overall information was kind of a struggle. So I hope this gear set, it should be correct. The mini spool I got for this truck weeks ago is actually for a 7.5 inch diff. So I did get the wrong mini spool, but there's always a last resort of just welding it up, because that's pretty much what a mini spool does, is it replaces the spider gears and makes the rear axle solid. No tire slip, no clutches, nothing. It's solid. So either which way, it's going to be the same method. But for the 7.5 and the 8 inch, for those people that I guess want to get nitpicky about it, it is the same spline count, so it is 28 spline axles for both 7.5 and 8 inch diff. So I'm hoping that the axles are the same, it's just a larger carrier housing and a larger ring and pinion. That's the only difference, I'm hoping. We will find that out. Either which way, it's going to be a locked rear end. Alright, so we got the cover off, it's draining fluid. Fluid's great. I don't see anything wrong. No metal chunks or anything. Fluid's great. I changed it anyways before the truck was even running or going down the road. So it's still great in here, just like how I left it. I got the tires off, rotors off, checking the brake pads, and they're like alright, but we'll definitely deal with this setup later as far as braking goes. But for now, this axle has C-clips in the diff here, so I remove this pin first. So this pin needs to be removed. There's a bolt under here for that. That comes out. Pin comes out. This axle shaft slides in a little ways, and then this C-clip right in here. And if you can see that, the discoloration of the different metal. So this C-clip comes out. It's about ready to fall out almost, but it comes out, and then you can slide this axle back. Same thing for this side, axle goes back, and then these spider gears come out, and then you can plop the carrier out and then take your pinion out. So that's what we're going to do now. And then after that, I'll go get the gears in the house that I got in the mail, and just line it up, clean everything up, brake clean the shit out of everything. Clean everything up, see if those gears are the correct stuff, and then gotta go to the store and get a dial indicator. And yeah, I think that's it. So we'll start there. Alright, so we got the pin out, the cap off, pin out. So the spider gears are now, and then I'll slide this in here, get the C-clip out, and voila, that's all that this thing holds together, is just the C-clip. Easy as that. You just reach around to the outside and slide it in, and I'll be damned. This is my first actual diff by myself, so we're gonna see how this one goes. Who knows, I could do it all wrong and it'll probably explode. And if my luck, probably. Alright, so it's the next morning. That was Friday night, so now it's Saturday morning. And we'll continue with this rear diff. I guess I got pretty much everything just gutted out of the truck. I didn't really film much, just because I was kind of in a mode. So this is pretty much. I got empty housing, everything's cleaned out. We got bearing races pounded for the pinion bearings. Fresh new ones in here. Spider gears are out. I'm not gonna use these, obviously. So over here we have the mini spool that will go inside the carrier. So this all fits, correct spline and everything. And this is the 411 gear, ring gear and pinion with the new bearing on it. So now at this point I just have to got the new gears on. Now I have to install and check for gear pattern and adjust as so. And I did use this pinion bearing puller kit, and this is the old one right here. You can see I pulled this bearing off because there's a shim between this bearing and the pinion gear there, and that sets your pinion depth. So I had to take that shim out and then put it under this one on my new pinion, so it's under there. You can barely see it. So everything will pretty much start at ground zero as how it came out of the truck, because it was just fine before. So I'm just going to start with the exact same shims in the truck, just new gears and bearings. The carrier is the same. The carrier bearings I'm going to leave alone because those are doing just fine. So I'm trying not to change up too many things. I haven't had my coffee yet. So I'm trying not to change too many things so then I don't have to adjust or spend so much time adjusting and fighting that, because let's be honest, I'm a little rusty when it comes to gears, and kind of want to make this simple as possible. So along with that, we're doing new axle seals since we're here. Other than that, we'll continue on.